Hi everyone, Dave here from Summerleas Church, and I'd like to welcome you along to our very first episode of Summerleas Sanity. Now, this is a little series that we're putting together just to give you some super short but practical tips on how to look after your mental health through these crazy days of COVID-19. Now, here with me to help me is Maria Conway. Maria is a long-time member of Summerleas Church, but she's also a fully accredited counsellor, and she's currently working as the school counsellor at Farm School here in Hobart. She was the chaplain at Southern Christian College, and she also runs her own wonderful counselling practice in Kingston, Tasmania. Thanks for coming, Maria. And today you're going to help us think about rumination. So to begin with, what is rumination?
Well, thanks for having me, Dave. Rumination is that horrible feeling when you constantly replay or obsess over negative situations. You know what it's like when you've had a really bad argument with your spouse, or you didn't get that goal in the game, or you had that really icky, awkward conversation and you're not sure how it played out, or you really wish that you would have done better on your presentation. Your mind rehearses play by play of what led to that horrific breakup or missing the deadline at work. Even when everything's going well, you tend to hyper focus on the one negative thing that happened during your day. And with COVID-19, we're constantly getting new information that can cause us to hyper focus that way.
It's kind of almost like our brains just want to try and make sense of that thing that didn't go right. And yeah, as you say, it's an awful thing because there could be lots of great stuff, and yet I'm just stuck on this thing that that didn't work out for me. Why isn't rumination a productive thing?
So the thing is, under normal circumstances, when we're able to reflect on past experiences, they can be helpful and they can help us problem solve and overcome dilemmas. Rumination takes it to the next level, and it offers very few new insights. It often tends to intensify our negative feelings.
Yeah, so basically it's not actually doing me any good. I'm just going around and around and around in circles, reflecting on the same negative stuff, feeling bad, feeling bad, feeling bad, but not actually getting anywhere or finding any answers.
That's right.
So it's obvious how that can happen with COVID-19, because I'm just constantly hearing stuff about it. I'm seeing it on my phone. I'm talking to my friends about it. It's on the news. That's easily something that I could just sit and think and think and think and think about. What would be your advice for someone that's just really stuck, can't get it out of their head, they're struggling to sleep, they're struggling to think about anything else because they're just ruminating on COVID-19 nonstop? What should I do?
Yeah, so there's some really good things you can do. One of the things, if we're thinking about the news that we're getting in, for some people, getting that news every time the phone dings, it makes your heart rate go up. And there is a constant barrage of new information because the situation is changing rapidly. But there's usually a briefing once a day from the premier or the prime minister about what's new and what we need to know for that day. So one of the things that we can do to manage that stress is to assign a time during the day. Maybe it is that time when they're doing the briefing where you tune in to get the information that you think will be helpful, that you need to know for your family and for your friends and what you need to be doing. So you can actually schedule in a worry time, and it could be 20 or 30 minutes where you sit and you focus on what's going on with COVID-19. You go over the briefing, you decide what it means for you, and you think about how you can then problem solve to make a plan of how you're going to respond to the new information that you got, rather than getting it in constantly in little dribs and drabs throughout the day. You're getting one big chunk of it, and you can process it, and then you move on. But the key to that then is when you've scheduled that time and that time is over, then you focus on other things for the day. Identify the thoughts or the fears that you might have around COVID-19. What's your biggest fear? You can journal about it, or you can talk to a family member, and that's a great way of clarifying what you're really worried about. So another thing that you might want to do is meditate on God's promises for us. So John 16:33, Jesus told us that I've told you all these things so that in me you may have peace. In this world you will have trouble, but take heart because I've overcome the world. And 1 Peter 5:7 says, cast your anxiety on him because he cares for you. So we do know that God is working in this situation. We do know that he's sovereign, and we do know that he loves us, and his word shows us all the ways that he wants to look after us, even in the age of COVID-19. So being able to meditate on his promises for us is also a really helpful thing we can do. Get into your Bible rather than getting into the latest thing from the ABC. Dealing with the best case possibilities. With COVID-19, we know that for most people, they will get over the symptoms of the virus. They may get mildly ill, but they won't die from it. We know that we're taking steps like hand washing and following government directives and social distancing. Look at the best case scenario possibilities and identify whether they are the most likely outcomes, which we talked about. You can look at them in a really rational fashion. After weighing the evidence and the facts available for you, you can develop a realistic contingency plan for coping with the situation. This may just mean, going back over all the government directives on what we need to do to keep safe. You can work out what you can control and what you can't control. Ask yourself, what can I change, if anything? If you can't change the situation, then let it go. For things you can change, you can set up a list of small goals. So just a small list, because again, making a big list can be really overwhelming. And then you can make the appropriate changes. You can make sure you're washing your hands. You can set up a time to talk to family and friends, go for a walk, or listen to some music, or read the Bible. You can connect with the myriad of group activities that are happening all around the world and cater to all sorts of interests. Plan a virtual dinner with friends, have themed days, Thankful Thursday, Formal Friday, dress-up nights, impromptu dance parties, whatever is going to connect you to others and get you outside your thoughts. You can exercise. Exercise is such a good thing to do. And in this time of isolation, we know that getting out in the fresh air, even if it's not where we would like to necessarily go, but if it's just around the neighborhood with our family, just getting out and having a run, or going on your exercise bike, or getting online and getting into an online exercise class. Those will drive up your endorphins, and they'll also take away some of the worry, and they'll give you a new perspective. You can also try mindfulness. Mindfulness is just a way of being in the here and now. We spend so much time thinking about past mistakes or worrying about future events that we don't spend a lot of time in the here and now. And a good example of this is how we find ourselves on autopilot while we're driving home. The practice of mindfulness is a great way to reduce our thinking selves and increase our sensing selves in the here and now. For example, you can ask yourself what you hear, what you feel, what you taste, what you smell. You can have things like a mindful dinner where you cook something that you really enjoy and then savor every bite. You can stop for a mini break and have a cup of tea and just really sit in silence and listen to the birds sing, and feel the warmth of the cup, or take in the steam that you're seeing. Enjoying coffee with your friends and really thinking about just how much that friend means to you, having meaningful conversations with them that don't center around COVID-19. Enjoying significant moments in your life, all the things that we get to do now as a family. Just enjoying that board game and being in the moment of watching your kids laugh, or taking a walk with your spouse. When you notice your mind wandering, then you can gently just guide it back to the present.
Well, that's great, Maria. There's some really practical tips there to help us stop ruminating. That's all we've got this week for Summerleas Sanity. Make sure you stop the ruminating and try out some of those tips that Maria just gave us. And hopefully we'll see you again for our next installment. Goodbye.